The opening scene of A New Hope showed audiences an incredible ship that is soon topped by an even more impressive ship in a signature wedge shape that dwarfs the already impressive Corvette that we first saw. A few years later in The Empire Strikes Back, that first Star Destroyer we see would be dwarfed itself by Darth Vader's personal flagship, the Super Star Destroyer Executor. This transmission will tell you everything you need to know about this gargantuan flagship, looking at both canon and legends. In either timeline, the ship is terrifying to its enemies. During the time of The Empire Strikes Back, it's the most powerful single ship in the Imperial fleet. Furthermore, it's a symbol of Imperial might. It has an escort when it travels, not of starfighters like most capital ships, but of regular-sized Imperial-class Star Destroyers. The ship was supposedly conceived after the destruction of the first Death Star. I would have to imagine that construction started before that, given its size and the resources that it would need. The Death Star was obviously formidable, and its super laser capable of immense destruction, but its very presence could turn the tide of a battle or stomp out insurrection. The Executor would go on to serve the same purpose. Vader himself had been pushing the idea of the Super Star Destroyer program, his own ship being the first of its class. The ship was a combined effort between the Empire and Kuat drive yards. The ship is roughly 12 miles long with a Class 1 hyperdrive setup. That made it not only one of the largest, but also one of the fastest warships in the entire galaxy. The interior of the ship was a floating military base and contained a city's worth of crew, troops, vehicles, and resources. The estimated average personnel count is around 280,000. Keep in mind, that's not the max, but the average. This includes the massive crew of the ship, support staff, troops, pilots, and officers. Aside from the exceptional hyperdrive, the ship is propelled by 13 sublight thrusters. The shields are generated by similar globe-shaped shield generators on the ship's bridge as seen on the standard Star Destroyer, though they were much bigger in scope and power. The physical armor of the ship was upgraded as well. The alu steel plating is reinforced with titanium. The surface is covered with 5,000 weapon emplacements, including turbolaser batteries, ion cannons, concussion missile launchers, and tractor beam projectors. Multiple wings of TIE fighters and other support craft were on board. Around 144 single-man starfighters could be launched at any time. Shuttles, other support craft, and planetary vehicles like speeders and the classic Imperial walking armored tanks were also kept on board. To sum it up, the Executor, and the man who commands it, is pure intimidation and was created to overwhelm any opposition. The Super Star Destroyer did not have a single super laser to destroy a planet, but Imperial propaganda made it clear that the weaponry the ship did have could reduce a planetary surface to rubble in a matter of hours. The Executor's construction was done in secret. It was built over the Kuat Shipyards. It was originally intended to be the flagship of Grand General Cassio Tag. He was the Imperial Supreme Commander who took over after the Battle of Yavin. When the ship was almost complete, a cyborg rival of Vader's, Dr. Silo, attempts to steal the ship for himself. Vader thwarts these efforts, and as a reward, Palpatine gives him the ship and authority over Tag. Not too long after that, Vader would execute Tag personally, removing the annoyance once and for all. At one point, Admiral Ozzel oversaw phases of the ship's construction. I found this surprising since Ozzel was known to be something of an idiot, and neither Vader nor the Emperor trusted the man. If you're getting value or entertainment out of any of my transmissions, it would mean a lot if you would join the Remnant and subscribe. After the ship was reassigned to the Dark Lord of the Sith, a special meditation chamber and private bacta facilities were added for Vader's use. The Executor's origins are a bit different in Legends. A starship engineer who created the Imperial-class Star Destroyer, Lyra Wessex, was also the visionary behind the Super Star Destroyer. The ship's construction began in the Scarl system rather than Kuat drive yards. A quick aside, this is the same star system where Vader trains his secret acolyte, Galen Merrick, aka Starkiller. The ship was moved to Fondor Shipyards for final construction. When news about the ship could no longer be kept secret, a group of high-ranking Imperial officers get together to plot the destruction of the ship. They thought that if Darth Vader had such a ship under his command, then they would all be left behind in their careers. Their plan ultimately fails, but they do wound Admiral Amis Griff, who was in charge of overseeing the final stages of the Executor's construction. The ship was, of course, completed, and Vader takes command. The legend has no mention of it being intended for anyone else. Back in canon, Vader wastes no time in hunting the rebellion with his new warship. He travels the galaxy with his Star Destroyer escort, christened Death Squadron. This armada, led by Vader, was terrifying just by reputation. The first official mission for Death Squadron was finding the rebel base and putting them down after their victory at Yavin. The first taste of real combat for the Executor was at Mako Ta space docks. The Alliance gathers their small fleet here while looking for a new, more permanent home base. The Executor jumps into the system and destroys rebel capital ships within moments of targeting them. The Alliance escapes, but the intimidation and strength of the ship is clearly demonstrated. They now have something new to fear. Legends has things happen in a slightly different order, but the results are about the same. The Executor makes its debut on the galactic stage and frightens anyone opposing the Empire. Project Swarm was launched from the Executor. This program sees thousands of probe droids scattered throughout the galaxy to find the Rebellion's new base. The Executor is present for the remaining events of The Empire Strikes Back, but it isn't really a key feature. The years between Empire and Jedi sees the Executor on more crucial events where it's more directly involved. When Kira, the leader of Crimson Dawn, holds an auction to sell the stolen carbonite slab containing Han Solo, Vader shows up in his Super Star Destroyer to intimidate every criminal syndicate in the galaxy and claim Solo for himself. A war breaks out as the Hutt cartel foolishly attacks the Empire. The fleet makes short work of the Hutt ships, and Vader himself kills the leadership straight away. In Legends, the Executor is just as mighty. Instead of Mako Ta and the War of the Bounty Hunters, the story at this same time period would be Shadows of the Empire. Vader is pursuing Luke Skywalker, as is the intimidating Prince Shizor. Shizor is the leader of the Black Sun crime syndicate. His plan is to assassinate Skywalker to win favor with Palpatine over Vader. Vader actually shows an uncharacteristic level of restraint and gives Shizor a warning. Shizor ignores this warning, so Vader does what he does best. He lures Shizor and his orbital palace, the Skyhook, into a trap where the Executor showed what 5,000 mounted weapons can do and obliterates the entire thing, killing Shizor in the process. Even more impressive was the accuracy of the damage. The Super Star Destroyer turns its target into bits of scrap with no collateral damage on Coruscant, the planet that was below them. Canon and Legends come together fairly cleanly as the second Death Star's construction progresses. Palpatine orders the ship be nearby to defend the still vulnerable superweapon. In ABY-4, the Executor is above the forest moon of Endor, Admiral Piet in command. The Rebel Alliance's fleet comes to destroy the battle station, falling into a trap set by Palpatine. The Executor, along with a company of other more standard Star Destroyers, doesn't engage the fleet. They're tasked with keeping them stuck in Palpatine's web. The trap erupts into a full-on battle. The brilliant rebel tactician, Admiral Gael Akbar, orders the fleet to concentrate on the Super Star Destroyer. We've covered how mighty the ship truly is, but even the most spectacular warship in the Imperial fleet has its limits. The constant barrage from the Rebels' fleet and capital ships begins to weaken the energy shields. The smaller, single-pilot starfighters are running strafing runs. A pair of X-Wings manage to knock out the shields around the Executor's bridge. Piet tries to use the offensive weapons of the ship to protect the bridge, but he was too late in his order. An A-Wing from Green Squadron, piloted by Arvel Crinid, and I'm sorry if I butchered that name, was making a strafing run when his ship takes fire. He knows he's not going to survive the pass, so he directs his starfighter at the central viewport of the bridge. All the major controls of the massive ship are housed in this now destroyed area. The ship loses control, and the gravitational pull of the Death Star pulls it in. The collision of the two most intimidating pieces of warfare the Empire has is a spectacular sight. The Super Star Destroyer's nosedive into the surface of the battle station has all the metal crumbling and exploding. Just to show how strong the Death Star was, it remains intact. Vader's flagship going down isn't just a decisive victory for this immediate battle. It's a symbol that the hubris of the might of the Empire was crumbling. It's also foreshadowing things to come. Vader did his part for the Empire and his master Sidious through fear. His ship did the same. The ship is destroyed, and Vader would soon follow. Let's go behind the scenes. When creating the models for The Empire Strikes Back, George Lucas was intentional in his instruction to Industrial Light and Magic that Darth Vader's flagship be the largest and most detailed modeled Star Destroyer. By a long shot. The model would end up being 6 feet long with more than 150,000 tiny lights to signify all the windows and power conduits. True to Star Wars form, the incredible staff at ILM used Imperial-class Star Destroyers that looked tiny next to it to show the massive scale of the ship. Throughout this transmission, I have used the term Super Star Destroyer to describe the classification of this specific ship. That isn't actually entirely accurate. While it's a widely accepted term, it is actually a colloquial catch-all. The real classification was born in Legends and has found its way into canon. That is Executor class Star Dreadnought. Check out this transmission next for more ships from the Star Wars universe.